Hey guys, today is August 17th, which is National Thrift Store Day. So today I'm going to a bunch of Goodwills to look for items for resale, for gifts, and for things for myself that I'm looking for. I'm wearing my Banana Republic Typewriter shirt, and it's time to get thrifting.
So this is the Goodwill in Bethlehem, PA, and I've been here only once before. Today I want to look at items specifically for resale, so I did start here in the fabric and blanket section because a lot of the people I watch on the internet who do thrifting and resell actually look for Afghans to sell on the internet. One other thing they always suggest to look for in resale is unopened packages, so I did look briefly at this unopened tablecloth. And I'm looking for a purse for a very specific project. This one did not fit the specifications, but in my hunt I found tons and tons and tons of Vera Bradley. Now this was a popular brand maybe 10 years ago, and I still see people using these, but I ran into so many Vera Bradley purses in the thrift store, I kind of feel ridiculous for how much I spent on these previously, seeing them here now for $4 in a thrift store. And of course there were lots of cat-based items. I just brought home my second cat, Lippy, so I was definitely on the hunt for any cat-themed products. Here was an interesting thing. This is a Gettysburg mug. I do have someone in my life who is a history teacher, so I did end up picking up this mug. It's got some information about Gettysburg here on the back. And these are Corning mugs. They look like diner style, and I've seen quite a few of these. They always remind me of PYREX, so I always stop and check the bottoms to see what they are. And here is a PYREX casualty. I was going to buy this, but you can see here on the handle that it has been chipped and repaired.
I forgot that Goodwill isn't doing bags anymore, but look at these. These are PYREX. This is it's not Spring Blossom. No, it is Spring Blossom, not Crazy Daisy. But these are the little coffee cups with the saucers. I found 2 complete sets and 1 single cup. I left the single cup for someone who needs it. But these are a pretty good find. They're in good condition, and I've been trying to get more into PYREX, and I love this pattern. But I gotta figure out how to pack them so they're safe.
Wait, stop. I'm from the future, and I made a mistake. So initially when I saw these cups, I thought they were PYREX cups, and there was a reason for that. There was a PYREX pattern in the 1970s called Spring Blossom. It's probably my favorite PYREX pattern, and it's this lovely little green floral design. You'll see it on a lot of their dinnerware, but this is actually designed to be a companion set for Corel's Spring Blossom pattern. So Corel was a dishware company. They made plates and cups and saucers like mine, and they used this pattern called Spring Blossom. Eventually in the 1970s, PYREX made a companion set of dishware, bakeware, and cups like this one here that I got yesterday. I've been looking at this pattern quite a bit. I was helping someone thrift a Spring Blossom bowl that went along with the bowl that they had, and when I saw this pattern in the thrift store, I thought for sure that this was PYREX. I didn't check the bottom of the cup because the only stamp is on the cup bottom, and that was taped to the dishware here, but it is actually stamped as Corel. And it's called Livingware, and it's made in the USA, and it still has that Spring Blossom pattern on it. This floral design is called Spring Blossom by both Corel and by PYREX, but it's often also referred to as Crazy Daisy. If you see PYREX collectors, they're calling it that. It's actually the same pattern. There's a smaller version in the Spring Blossom, and then it was redesigned later in a larger pattern. So both of these are Spring Blossom or Crazy Daisy, but Corel dishware recently came out and has not been FDA approved for any of their dishware before 2005. Anything produced after 2005, you're okay, there's no lead in the paint, but anything before that is at risk. And I often get asked about how do I test for lead in typewriter paint, and because I'm not consuming off of those, I don't. But I did want to test these cups for lead to make sure that I wasn't putting myself or anyone who used them in any danger. So I bought a lead test kit. So I've been asked this question quite a bit. This lead test kit was on Amazon. It's just cotton swabs that you dip in water and then rub over the surface. Once they turn a certain color, you can kind of see if it contains lead or not. Now, one of the reasons that we often see these lead paint problems on Corel dishware is because the paint itself has the lead in it and then it is glazed over. As you start to use your dishware, it'll chip away at that glaze and the paint is exposed. So I did test this, and I tested the Corel cup, and there was is no lead present in the actual design of the cup. It's probably because the glaze is pretty well kept, but also they still have this pattern available on their website. So it is possible that it is after 2005. It's still completely available on there. So this has no lead, at least on the surface of the cup, in this pattern right now. I also then decided to lead test a few other items in my more recent dishware collection because it's not necessarily something I thought very hard about. I did get this Fiesta cup, and Fiestaware did have lead in its paint as well, but newer reproductions of Fiesta do not have this same problem, so this cup is a newer production. There's no lead detected here. I also wanted to test these little stackable cups that are from Japan. I recently got these, but I didn't even think about the fact that there could be lead in the paint. These also came up negative. I also wanted to test my PYREX onion cups. Now this is an Old Town Blue pattern. I picked these up at, I think, Salvation Army for a couple bucks. I really like the design of these. I also tested these for lead and nothing came up. So I was beginning to wonder if my lead test kit was just bad until I tested this Dunkin' mug. Now I picked this Dunkin' Donuts mug up at a yard sale in my local area for about $4. It's from the 1970s and it is made by Glassbake, and it retails on Poshmark and eBay anywhere between $10 and $25, so it was a pretty good buy at $4. It does have a small chip in the base of it, which is why I haven't been drinking out of it, but it's also really good. I haven't been using this mug because I did find lead in the paint on this. Now, this could be from a lot of different things. Obviously, there are some scratches here on this mug, so it already has some wear and tear that would expose that lead paint. So, no drinking out of this mug. This is a display-only piece. If you want to test some of your dishware, or if you're out there picking up older dishware and you're worried about things like lead contamination, you can pick up a lead test kit. It's kind of a good way to start your indication if it's safe or not to use that dishware, and it's pretty cheap on Amazon. I have listed the one that I used in the description below. So the good news is that my Corelle dishes are safe to use. And a few days later, I then did find the PYREX cup versions in Spring Blossom, and these are the PYREX cups. So a little bit of a different design. They're also a lot heavier than the Corelle dishware, and it is the same pattern, which I really like. Okay, back to thrifting.
We are now at the Goodwill in Whitehall, PA. I have never been here before. It looks really nice. It's also right next to a Burlington, so fingers crossed we find some good things. I had a really good experience at my local Goodwill in Stroudsburg. Earlier this week, I bought a typewriter for $10, so I'm hopeful that some of these Goodwills do have some good things for us, and I might have to buy a bag while I'm here, but we'll see what's in this Whitehall Goodwill because I've never been here. Whitehall Goodwill.
This location was really great specifically for clothing. They had quite a few things here that were brand new with tags, so I took my time combing through all of the clothing racks first. And I spotted even more Vera Bradley. You will see much, much more of this today. This is a Talbot's blazer. That brand sounds really familiar to me, but I couldn't tell you why. And this is a nail polish and hand care brand, so I did pick this up because it was quite cheap. This is a blue dahlia pattern creamer. I didn't know it at the time. I Google lensed it when I got home. On its own, it's worth about $25, so I probably should have picked this up. And this is a Music Fest mug. This is a local music festival. Really cool to see some local pieces. Here is some Corning ware. I did pass on this. I do see this quite frequently. And here we have a Corelle, or no, this is Corning. This is Corning ware cup attached to another Corning ware cup, but they don't match. And this is my biggest pet peeve with Goodwill right now, is they're putting unmatched mugs together. This is something that I think is really cool about thrift stores. They have tons of unused wrapping paper and vinyl as well. So there was some vinyl here in this bin as well as wrapping paper. Really great way to buy some of these products for a really affordable cost, and you're keeping it from going into a landfill. And of course I spotted some paper, so I did end up picking up this.
It's called Royal Avenue. That's so cool. I was going to go to the Dunkin', but I found a Salvation Army instead, so let's go do that.
So this is probably the biggest Salvation Army I have ever seen. It was full of aisles and aisles of clothing. It's a little overwhelming. In fact, I do only this store in one day instead of in a big day of thrifting. I did take a quick look at the purse wall, and this bag here was interesting. I thought it was old, like lucite purses, but I think this is either Zara or Shein brand because it's newer. You can tell in the tags it's not vintage. And another Vera Bradley piece. This is a lunchbox. What I thought was great about this store specifically was the furniture selection. There are a ton of really great vintage pieces here, including this dresser. If you are looking for something for a home, this seems to be a really great place to pick up pieces for really cheap and affordable costs. I really regret not picking up this chair. It's beautiful and it was only $12 to $13. Here's another Corningware diner cup. I've seen these everywhere. This piece kind of stood out on the shelf. This is made in Holland. I've been looking for Delft blue pieces for my mom's collection, so I did stop and check this one out, but decided against picking it up. And I've seen these on thrift videos by other creators. I think you can use them like sushi plates and use the little well for a soy sauce cup. And I have seen this pattern 3 times today. This is flat scrap. It seems to be in every single thrift store. And here's a little PYREX mug. I decided against getting this one because it is just plain. And I almost picked up this Dunkin' Donuts travel cup, but it is missing its lid, so it has no value to me without that. This was a cute little desk organizer. I thought about this as well. It's got some of that caning and that kind of rattan look to it, so I thought it was a really interesting piece, probably from the 1970s, but I decided against picking this up.
I'm now at the Allentown Goodwill. I've been to this Goodwill before and I'm not a huge fan of it, so we're just gonna do a quick pass through. But what is nice about this Goodwill is it's right next door to an antique store called the Cottage Crafters. So we're gonna hit there as well, because I think that should also count on Thrift Shop Day.
This place was really busy, so I didn't get to film much, but I did spot here a little Fostoria creamer, or no, this one's the sugar dish. I see these quite often, but it's always nice to see them for cheaper costs in thrift stores. My mom does collect stuff like this.
I did drop my new coffee maker on the way out, but look what I found. This is Jeanette glass, so it's from the 1930s in the green. And a couple weeks ago, I bought my mom the sugar in this milk glass version of her cubist pattern. I just found the creamer. And this is so odd to me. I've started finding paper. I'm gonna try it in the typewriter, but you never know what kind of paper you're gonna find. So now I have 2 to try in typewriters. Really good for never finding anything here.
So this is an antique / craft store next door to the Goodwill that I was just at. I've been here before and it's got quite a mix of items. Obviously there's some vintage here, so here is some vintage PYREX, but it also has crafts and flea market based items. I did run into this. I think this is probably from the 1970s. It's for your tinfoil and wax paper, and I loved the look of this with the little serrated edges for cutting. Here's some more Corningware. I didn't end up picking these up, but I do see these everywhere. Here's a little PYREX creamer. I've bought these before, but no one seems to want to buy them from me, so I decided to put this one back, even though it's in the spring blossom pattern. And here's where all that Vera Bradley from the thrift store goes to die. Here's a ton of Vera Bradley, and it's all listed between $20 and $40 in this store, but if you really want it, it's next door for $4. This really stood out to me on the shelf. This is Fire King, but something about the color and the look of it really stood out to me, so I decided to take a look. One thing that sets this place apart from the other local antique stores is it does have an auction in the back of the building. So here they are having an auction. There are a few typewriters here. I did not stick around, but they're listed right now for around $30, so over my price mark, but still pretty reasonable for these items.
Okay, I think I'm still in Allentown, but I think there's another Goodwill here, so we're gonna check this one out. I've never been here.
I've never been to this Goodwill before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I did find some really interesting pieces here, including these. I think they're glass bake dishes. I think that's the brand here on them. I've seen these before, but have never purchased. Again, it's easier to pick them up in a thrift store than an antique store. They are more affordable, and here is an entire set from someone's kitchen. So if you're looking for an instant collection, don't be afraid to pick them up at thrift stores, because here was a whole ton of that same pattern. And here's an entire drip glaze collection, so if you're looking for that as well, it's also in the thrift stores.
So that place was really great for men's clothes. I bought a bunch because I'm working on a present for my brother-in-law, but I also found this little typewriter decoration. It's a little keepsake box, which I didn't expect to find. And then I found some fondue forks. I know that fondue pots are always missing these, so I was gonna try to resell these because they were only $2.99. So that's all for the thrifting. I'm really tired. As you can see, the hair's gone up into crazy. So I'm gonna head home, have more coffee, and then wash all of my finds.
There are quite a few items from these few days of thrifting that I'm very excited about. Obviously, I'm really excited about the Corelle dishware. I love the idea of PYREX. I'm really interested in getting into reselling PYREX. I've picked up quite a few pieces in the last couple of weeks, and I've listed them places and none have sold. A lot of that is because the PYREX market is really oversaturated and very expensive. But for picking them up at pretty cheap prices, I don't mind having them at that low cost. I was really excited to get these little Corelle cups. I am going to give these to the person who collects that spring blossom pattern because it's a nice little companion set. My grandfather actually drinks out of the plain version of this Corelle cup. I very distinctly remember him using this cup every morning for his coffee, and it's plain, so it doesn't have any lead paint in it. So it's just kind of a nice little nostalgic piece for me to have, and I'm really excited about the inclusion of some more PYREX patterns in my collection. And it was interesting to learn that PYREX didn't originate this pattern too. It didn't even occur to me that they would make companion pieces for other dinnerware. So this was a nice little research rabbit hole, and if you're interested in learning more about PYREX, specifically the spring blossom pattern, I'm going to link below the article that I found that helped me identify these pieces. One thing I'm also really excited about, and even more excited about today, is this little Jeanette fruit dish or side sherbet glass. My mom collects the Colony Glass Whitehall pattern, which is this cube design. It's based on Fostoria cube pattern or Fostoria American pattern of glass. Fostoria is very expensive and very collectible. You'll see mostly the clear version in antique stores, but other companies did make their own versions of this pattern, including Jeanette Glass, which is based in Pennsylvania, or was based in Pennsylvania. They weren't open very long, but this is a Jeanette sherbet cup, and I can tell because of the bottom. So on Fostoria patterns of this cube design, they have a more floral design in the bottom. It's got little petals to it. There was another company as well, that Whitehall pattern from Colony Glass, that has a floral design, but Jeanette, which used the similar pattern in the 1930s, has a more cube design on the bottom. So instead of having little petal shapes, they have that cube pattern repeated on the bottom, and that's how you can tell it's Jeanette glass. Also, it's colorful. Mostly Fostoria is clear. So this is probably from the 1930s, but what I didn't think to do until today was test this under blacklight, because a lot of glassware from this era glows under blacklight if it's in this green pattern. So I'm very excited to report that this does actually glow like uranium glass that you might see in an antique store under blacklight. I don't know what causes that, and maybe I could be educated in the comments, but I just really think it's cool that it glows in the dark. Now, having something from the 1930s is really cool. My mom does collect this type of pattern in her glassware. She collects more of a different maker, but I think it's really cool to include Jeanette glass from the 1930s in her collection, especially when it glows in the dark. And if you really like this pattern, you might also notice cubist ware in shows like Friends. Monica's glassware is that Colony pattern from the Whitehall pattern from Colony Glass. And if you saw Twisters this summer, there's also some Whitehall cups in that. In fact, that's the only thing my mom told me about that movie after she went and saw it. I did also get this little trinket typewriter dish. I didn't see any actual typewriters in the thrift stores, but I did find this in the last Goodwill that I was in. I think it was only $1.25 or $1.99. It's a little trinket dish and the back does open so you can get in there. I think it'd be cool to put stamps in there because it's just the right size for that. It has a little cut here in the top. I did Google Lens this and I only found one other one on the internet listed for $25 on Etsy. That doesn't mean that's what it's worth, but that's what someone is selling it at. It is labeled on the bottom as made in China and copyright around 2002. So it's not that old, but it was cool to see a little typewriter design sort of thing in the thrift store. Something I was really excited about were these paper boxes that I found in a couple of the Goodwills. My dad had tons of these in our basement, just like different weights of paper, different colors in there for different uses. Typically, typewriter paper, I just use traditional printer paper, but I have been trying to get into more stationery-based paper with my typewriters. I was also doing an Instagram challenge that day of thrift or pass. Most things people decided that I should pass on while thrifting, but everybody said that I should pick up the paper. So I did pick this up. It was listed at $2.99, but this is the price of an education because I didn't think to open the two paper boxes that I got. The one was fine, plain paper, but this one is balloons. So I spent $3 on balloon paper. Now I have that to try. It is a good weight, but not necessarily a design that I would normally go for. So if you are seeing these paper boxes out there in the wild in your Goodwills or thrift stores, maybe check to open them first to make sure that there's actually paper in them and that that paper is not covered in balloons. Something else I've been trying to get into more recently with thrifting is buying secondhand clothing, both for myself and for other people in my life. So for example, I bought this shirt out at the Goodwill. It was only a few dollars. It's completely fine for professional wear. It's just a plain black shirt with these white ruffles. These here on the cuffs are fake leather, but it was only a few dollars and it's got a whole second life now that I've purchased it and can wear it. A few days later, I also went to my Goodwill locally and then a thrift store across the street, and I did pick up a few more clothing items. This first one I just think is beautiful. It's probably from the 80s or 90s. It is just a white shirt, but it's got these beautiful intricate designs on it and beading. So it's something that people probably don't think is in fashion anymore, but it really reminds me of my sister's wedding dress. So I did decide to pick this up for her. Grace, pretend you didn't see this. This kind of stuff is super cheap in thrift stores and it has a whole second life. I mean, it's made out of 100% polyester, so don't get it near any open flames. But it's a cool design to have and something that's really unique. If you're really into styling yourself, this is something that literally no one else is going to have. So really cool to pick up pieces like this. The other thing I've been noticing in thrift stores is name brand products that you might see for way more online, especially at the resale value. So this is an LL Bean coat, or a casual coat. It's got corduroy in it as well as these pink outsides. I did wash it. It is in size small. I picked this up for $4 at my local thrift store, but then I went and Google Lensed it and found quite a few listings on eBay and Poshmark for $60 to $70 for this coat used. Mine is in perfect condition and it fits me really well, so this is a $70 coat that I got for $4 at my local thrift store. So thrifting for clothing is a really easy way to find some really interesting pieces that you can add to your collection, or if you decide to resell, there are quite a few really good name brands in these thrift stores. The other thing that I kind of worked on this week is, if you don't like book destruction, please just stop watching now. But I did find the complete novels of Jane Austen in that beautiful leather-bound finish in this purple color at my local Goodwill before thrift store day, and it was only $2. I was going to turn it into a purse. I love the look of book purses. They sell on Etsy. They're really expensive. I have purchased one of them before for my mom, another Jane Austen one, but I've always wanted one but can never justify the price for buying one for myself. I decided to make my book purse by taking these outside book covers and then attaching them to a purse that was already made. So I didn't have to construct the purse and I already knew it would be pretty solid on the inside. So I did find this little purse at my local Goodwill for $4.99, and I was able to kind of craft my book edges to it. So now I've got myself a little book purse, and I think the total cost was under $20 because the book was $2, the purse was $4 or $5. I bought some Velcro to stick it to it so I can also change out the covers if I want, some ribbon, and some tacky glue. So for $20, I made myself my own version of the book purse, and I'm not gonna feel bad if it gets a little roughed up or destroyed because it was only $20. So a little bit more crafty here, and if you were into doing craft projects or working on your own DIYs, thrift stores are also a really good place for that. Now let's go to me in overalls to conclude this video.
And there, I promise I'm done thrifting in this video. If you guys are interested in more typewriter specific content, there is more on this channel, as well as on my Instagram at just.my.typewriter. I'm gonna thank you all so much for watching and remind you, you're just my typewriter. Also, look at these overalls that I got from Goodwill for $7. I'm very excited about them.